Welcome to Tone Talk. Welcome to Tone Talk. Welcome to Tone Talk.
How's everybody doing today? This is Antonio Moore coming to you from Tone Talk. So I wanted to have a brief discussion today about a big decision I saw come down from the Supreme Court that's going to affect, I think, a lot of middle-class families, particularly a lot of Black American families, about sports and sports betting. You know, last week on Friday, my show was on the end of Black celebrity. I believe that many of the financial signals, the financial woes that Black celebrities going through signal that we're near the end of this group being in the position it is for America at large, and particularly for Black America as a financial kind of beacon of sorts. I've also believed for a long time that sports and African Americans haven't mixed well. I think that what the decision does, and I'll explain it in a second, from the Supreme Court, is it opens the floodgates for a lot of problematic issues in communities across the nation that are ripe with aspiration and a lack of wealth. Let me tell you why. So, pulling up this article for you, NBC News says Supreme Court allows sports betting across the country. The U.S. Supreme Court acted Monday to bust Nevada's monopoly on legal sports betting, allowing more states to get in on the action and reap the tax benefits. The court, in a 6-3 ruling, struck down a federal law that requires states to ban gambling on the outcome of sporting events. And it says dozens of states across the country are prepared to move forward quickly to offer sports betting. I don't think we understand what this can do, literally in the course of years. What we have right now is the perfect environment. And when I say that, y'all gotta look at the mates y'all chose. Male and female, but particularly females looking at males. If your man sit up play NBA Live, NFL, football, whatever it's called, if your man plays fantasy leagues, it's not going to be play money anymore. If your man sells weed or sold weed, he might become a con artist salesman of this sports betting. What I'm saying to you is we're going to have to do a hard look in a way that I don't think we're equipped to do. You know, you ain't going to be able to go to that local bar and just chill out if you ain't got good discipline, if you ain't got good habits. I think for so many of us, because of the aspiration, because of the lack of wealth, because of the idea that I'm an expert, this presents a perfect environment to take middle-class families, particularly middle-class aspiring African-American families, and devastate what little wealth they have, what little stability they have. I'm coming to you today because I just wanted to explain the impact of this decision. You know, I feel like when I look at this whole thing, I've said for some years now that it's time to turn off the sports. It's time to look at the kind of things that entertain you and wonder, is it your mate or is it LeBron James? What entertains you, young man? Young man, is it your child or is it Stephen Curry? What entertains you, young man? And so for me, I haven't played video games in decades. In a decade over, like I don't play those games. I get it, people need to have a release, but that release now, it's kind of like somebody who smokes cigarettes. You're going to have to see it, because the impact is kind of like latent. You don't really see the long game of it all. What we're going to have to do now is we're going to have to see it very close, that this has secondhand smoke, that this has impact to make this person have cancer down the line, lung cancer. You're going to have to see the impact that can have on your own family. This sports thing has just got turned up to the umpteenth. We gotta start turning it off now. I don't know how y'all gonna get by if you gotta turn off the sports, but let this be the last NBA playoffs. They're gonna have another one every year. But if you don't do that, understand right now, divorce rate, first time marriages for African American women is 70%. What do you think it's gonna be when they start having these sports betting houses everywhere? What do you think is gonna happen when they start having all these little gambling houses everywhere? And for those people who say that it's already online, well, Black people don't be having credit cards like that. What happens when you can do it in cash at that bar that y'all go to? I'm just saying to you, this Supreme Court decision will have to have you make a critical analysis of the people you're surrounding yourself with, the people you've chose to mate, in a wholly different way. I've been saying that you need to do it for some years now. And I'm saying to you, it's upon you now. Fundamentally, am I saying that because your man plays video games, you need to leave him? No. But it's time to tell him you got to let the video games go and wean him off. It's like somebody that smokes cigarettes and weaning them off cigarettes. It's that bad. This could be like the new dope man or anything else. Because I don't think we understand that we're primed perfectly particularly as a race inside of America. The reason why we're primed is because we're so aspirational. Do you think that your man who thinks he knows so much about this weird little sports stuff is going to be able to have the equipment to say no, not this time? Look at him and tell me. I did a piece for Vice Sports maybe about 2.5 years ago, pulling it up now. Football's war on the minds of black men. Check it out. 70% of football is black. 70%. Black men are like grown adult black men are like 3.5% of the country. 70% of this league is African American. I'm saying to you that they have a perfect storm happening, and your family need to go out and get your galoshes, get your raincoat, you need to get your umbrella, start putting the sandbags up. You need to really understand this decision is no good for black families, for middle American families that don't have the wealth to be gambling. Now, I know your man might not be a gambler now, but you need to see them tendencies. You need to start looking at how much fantasy football league or NBA fantasy he plays. You need to look at how much of that video game is in his head. And if you want to do the work, you need to start weaning him off of it. And you yourself need to look at this thing and understand, what is the impact of following LeBron James' life on and off the court? How do we wean ourselves off of things that could destroy our families? I'm telling you, this decision by the Supreme Court today is horrible. When I look at this thing, I look at Ali, who's over my shoulder, and I contrast him to LeBron James and the super capitalist that LeBron James is, and they're just vastly different. The range of Ali in terms of awareness of politics and himself was just so much broader. The willingness for Ali to listen to Malcolm X. When you look at LeBron James, this guy's willing to go around and sell everything from Sprite to charter schools. And I'm not saying individually he might all together be aware, but it don't matter about awareness. We don't have much wealth or stability to go around. So many African Americans are first generation just learning how to be married. They don't need gambling houses in their communities. You need to get with your local church. You need to get with your neighborhood council. You need to figure out how you guys are going to combat when these things pop up in your neighborhoods now. You need to make a decision in your own home. Yeah, you're going to watch a little bit of sports, but then you're going to spend time with us, the family. Part of this is a reality check that we're going to have a whole new level of understanding what's going on around us. And if you don't, there's going to be a consequence to pay. This is Tone Talks. I just wanted to come with you with a short video, just kind of to talk about what I see going on with this decision. Make sure that you understand the impact of this decision. Please stay tuned. I'm going to play a 2-minute video about wealth and race in America, just so we're all on the same page and moving forward. Thank you. Tone Talks presents the reality behind the racial wealth gap. In America, we understand race as a literal foot race, where whites just got a lead based on effort, when in actuality, due to several hundred years of slavery and 100 years of Jim Crow, black people were more like the shoes whites wore down to run forward economically. The recent data from the Federal Reserve Survey of Consumer Finances tells a story that even though the media shows us young black millionaires like Steph Curry and LeBron James, without the family car, the middle black family is worth just over $4,000, while the middle white family is worth over $140,000 using the same accounting. In fact, according to the Federal Reserve data, the middle or 50th percentile black family is equivalent in wealth to the 20th percentile white family. In terms of wealth, black middle is the equivalent of white poor. The upper echelon of wealth tells us much the same story, showing that white America makes up nearly all of our nation's top 1%, with only 380,000 black families having a net worth more than even a single $1 million. All while, according to the new data, 15% of white families are worth more than $1 million, and over 1 million white American families are worth more than $10 million. The racial wealth difference isn't just a gap, it's a seismic hole that's only growing and needs policy immediately to fix it. Subscribe to learn more at tonetalks.org.